right. All right. I think we're here. There's a lag between what I'm seeing and maybe what you guys are seeing. So if you see me and hear me, please sound off in the comments there. Hopefully you can see me in my... Okay, now I got to close this window here. Close. You can delay. There are so many pop-ups in the world of YouTube. As you can tell, I don't do this very often. So if I seem a little bit like deer in the headlights, well, here we are. But it looks like we're going. Hey, it's Mark Lettieri. I'm here in Studio Lettieri, which is just a fancy name for the room that I record my music in my house. I am surrounded by amps and guitars. It's a very happy place most of the time when things work. I got my trusty Fiore here. I also have a couple of the Axe as well. I didn't use everything that you see here on the record, but I used a lot of it. Basically, I wanted to today, for the next maybe 30, 40 minutes, however long this takes. Hopefully not too long, because I know you all have other things to do with your lives than listen to me talk about my music. But we're going to listen to the first 5 songs off of Can I Tell You Something, which is my latest record. I think it's technically my 9th released project. It is my 8th studio album, 7th full-length album, because I did an EP in there. But anyway, Can I Tell You Something? It came out on July 19th, and I'm very, very proud of it. I'm really excited about this record. I feel like if you've never heard any of my music before, this is actually probably a pretty good place to start. So thank you for tuning in today. Like I said, we're going to talk about the first 5 songs on the record. I have them queued up. We'll listen to them. I'm happy to answer any questions about them. I was prepared and wrote down all of the guitar equipment that I used on each part. So we can dig into that. And then I think probably later on in the coming months, I'll probably pick a couple of these songs and do like a actual session breakdown so you can hear the individual stems and we'll really get into the nitty gritty. But for today, we're just going to listen to the first 5 tunes, talk about them, and I'll send you upon your merry way. And then tomorrow we'll do the remaining 5 songs. So once again, thanks to Greg Goldberg from American Musical Supply for moderating this and helping me out with tech stuff and all that good stuff. So thank y'all. I see people from Poland, from Japan. That is awesome. I'm very excited about it. Probably a couple people from the United States here, maybe. But let me get started. Oh, Germany. Cool. Oh, and are you playing in DFW anytime soon? I'm not, but I need to. So hopefully soon. So I guess Texas is in the house. Thanks for representing. All right. Track number 1 on the record, which was the first single that we put out. It's called Dragonfly. I'm going to play it, and then we'll talk about it. So here it comes. I'm going to mute my mic while it's on, but here we go. Dragonfly. Although it feels weird not talking while this is going. So I'll keep the conversation going minimally. Hope I didn't just close the window. Oh well, I think I got it. Germany, Edinburgh, SoCal. Brazil, let's go. Nijmegen, let's go. That's this pedal. We'll talk about that in a minute. Manager is asking me how do I control the head bob. It's easy, dudes. Eighth notes, quarter notes, both. Ooh, Iceland. Yes, I would like to come to Iceland, for sure. Synth doubling the melody there. Halftime. Who played drums? This is Jason Thomas. Wes Stevenson on bass, and myself on guitar and keyboards. That's a baritone on the rhythm guitar there. Shred. Look at that. I should be drinking out of the Tone mug. I know. I did yesterday. It's in the dirty dishes pile. Stereo synths. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That was Dragonfly. I feel like a radio DJ. Dragonfly by Mark Lettieri. He'll be playing, well, actually, the next couple shows I have are in Colorado. So you can come check those out if you want to see the band. www.marklettieri.com is where all the dates are always going to be. We have some shows in Colorado coming up. I'm going out on tour with Corey Wong in the fall, where I guess we're going to play probably a lot of his songs because it's his tour, and then maybe some of mine with a horn section, or who knows. And then next year we'll be hitting kind of like a bit of a world tour in some way, shape, or form. So we'll probably end up getting there playing all this Mark Lettieri goofball guitar music for you. But anyway, that was Dragonfly. I used the PRS Fiore for all the guitars, the leads, the cleans. The rhythms were a PRS baritone back there. Let's see. The amps, I used a couple different amps. If you can see it, my Naylor Dual 60 is right here. I used the gain channel of this amp with the J-Rocket Melody as like a gain boost for the leads and the melodies on that song. And this amp is so cool. It has an incredible clean channel, but it also has a really incredible gain channel. The cleans, those sort of like chimey, those were this Bassman, this Fender Bassman. And then kind of the secret weapon of the rhythm guitar track was this crazy fuzz by Rattan Effects in Germany. It's called the Hyperion Morphing Fuzz. And I bought it. I think I saw a YouTube demo of it, and I was just like, that's cool. So I got this, and I ran this into the drive channel of the Nailer to get the rhythm tones. The name of the tune, Dragonfly, it came from kind of two places. I remember watching a lot of nature documentaries with my kid in the living room, and there was some episode about dragonflies probably getting eaten by frogs or toads or something. And then I remember also going and seeing the movie Dune, the new one, but the first one, and they have those dragonfly robot helicopter. Well, they're not robots, but the dragonfly helicopter things. They fly around, and I was like, this is all really cool. Dragonflies are invading my life in varying forms. I should write a song about it. And so the first riff I came up with was that intro, which is sort of in 7/4 kind of. And that was the first thing I had, and then wrote a song after that. And kind of came together fairly quickly. I went through a few changes in terms of the arrangement and the form and stuff like that, but recorded all the guitars here at home with the amps that you see here into a Sur reactive load. I did that for just about every song on the record. Right now I'm running through a Kemper just because it's a little easier to do with the live stream, but the Sur reactive load IR box with a couple different cabinets, mostly 212s, a couple 112s, I think, just kind of depending on the part and the head that I was using. But right now the Kemper is set to a Rockman, which I'll get to when we get to the next song. But let's see. Anybody got any curious questions? I'm going to try to get through. There's a lot of these. Some of you very kind. Thank you for the compliments. I really appreciate it. What pedal should I use to make my guitar sound like a baritone? Well, if you want to do that, there actually is a cool one. It's called the Digitech Drop, and it does a pretty decent fake baritone. I would encourage adding a little bit of gain, because the clean kind of sounds a little fake, but if you put some gain on it, it actually could pass for a baritone. Sometimes I use that live when we play Star Catchers, because all the rhythm guitars on that song are a baritone, but the melodies and the leads are on a standard tuned guitar, so sometimes I'll step on that pedal to get the fake baritone sound. But lately I've just been playing the whole thing on a baritone, which means I don't solo quite as well, but the tune sounds really cool that way. So let's see. Do you get to write off every pedal purchase? I do. Yeah. It's one of the cool things about being a full-time musician, I guess, is you can write off a lot of stuff. Hopefully the IRS isn't watching this. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm still using 9.5s. No, these are 10s. I went up to 10s about a year ago, and I think it just works. This is a very fast guitar, and so sometimes with the 9.5s, I was just kind of overplaying and like overbending, and my vibrato wasn't great and kind of was a little bit pitchy. But it works great with 9.5s. So you just have to have a lighter touch than I do, I guess. But I already have a pretty light touch. But I went to 10s on all 25.5 inch scale guitars. So how much do you float the trim? Well, I can get a guitar pick underneath it. Not quite 2 guitar picks, but yeah, I think the main Fiore on that song was this red one, which is the first one that came off the line, the first one that I approved. Actually, there were a couple that came off before that we kept tweaking, but this is the final prototype, I guess. But nothing changed between this one and the one that you can get from AMS. Plug. Anyhow, but yeah, so that's Dragonfly. JT recorded the drums. Actually, it's kind of interesting. We recorded JT and Wes live together. They played over my demo of that song, and then after we were done with the session, I realized that I didn't like the form at the end of the song. I wanted to change it. And so JT did his drums again at his home studio and got some great sounds after I had kind of rearranged the demo. But we kept Wes's bass because what he played in the outro actually still worked over the changes that I made, so he didn't have to do his part again, but poor JT did. So sorry, buddy. But yeah, and then the keyboards, I'm not a keyboard player. I'm a keyboard programmer in the sense that like I know what I like and I sort of play it in as best I can, but I could not just sit here and play this song for you on keyboards. But all the sounds were from think some of them are from Logic, just stock Logic plugins, and then another one, the big synth stuff was from a program called The Prince, which is a pretty cool synthesizer plugin, and I used that a lot on this record. So some of that kind of like stabby stuff was this plugin called The Prince, and yeah, so that's that tune. Let's see, anything else I can tell you about the gear? Yeah, we used the Bassman for the clean. The nailer really did the majority of the work on this tune. I kind of the point of this record, well, not the point, but I wanted to use a lot of this gear, you know. I probably could have done the whole thing with the Kemper or the whole thing with plugins or something, but I had these great amps, and I really wanted to just take my time and plug them in and get sounds and pull a bunch of pedals off the wall and do it. And that was kind of the part of the fun of having your own, you know, studio here rather than trucking it into another room and miking up a cabinet, which probably would have been fine. But I just decided to do it this way, and the Sur reactive load worked really, really great. And honestly, you know, with a lot of these tunes, the guitar sound didn't necessarily need like room. So having a cabinet was sort of irrelevant, I think. Let's see. Can you show the fill at 346? I don't remember what that was, but the other thing is we're gonna have tablature of all these songs coming out in a couple, maybe like 2 months or something like that. So you can learn them all yourself. Let's see. All right, well, let's get on to the next tune. First one was Dragonfly. The second one was called Canyon Run. And the name, so this one actually started as a demo that I was doing for a George Tripp's Way Huge pedal. And I actually posted it on Instagram years ago. So it's actually kind of old. And George he used the song for a little like promo for one of his pedals, and it was like a lot of stock footage of like a drone flying through a desert canyon. I just thought it was really cool, and it's like Canyon Run. Okay, neat. So I took the initial demo from Instagram and turned it into an entire song, which my engineer Joey Lomas decided to call. He referred to it as Smooth Jazz from Hell. So maybe it is. I don't know, but I really dig this song. We're probably going to go in and do a live in the studio version of it, now that we've been playing it on tour for a couple weeks now. So this one's called Canyon Run, and I will cue it up right quick, and it goes like this, and then I'll explain all the sounds. Here we go. This is Canyon Run. It's the Rock Band. I'll show you the secret tone. I love Wes's bass line. He played the crap out the bass on the song. That's a Boss DS1 on the rhythm channel there. He was very excited to get to play slap bass on this part of the song. This is primarily Daniel Porter on synth, and I think he used Omnisphere, I think, mostly. There's a little bit of my synth padding in the background, but it's mostly Daniel doing the heavy lifting. This is one of my favorite JT snare sounds on this song. I composed the bass lines pretty much to the note, and then Wes kind of interprets them. This one was actually played on synth bass, so Wes did a lot of the interpreting himself for these parts. Like this, I didn't program a slap bass part. I just sort of had like really simple, probably quarter notes, and then he filled it in with all the other stuff. Definitely didn't program that. It's Wes Stevenson. Here, I'll put the... Yeah, a lot of Jeff Beck in this record. I'll get to that in a minute, actually. I'll explain that, Adrian. I'll get to that effect in just a second. Classic West bass fill. I'll let the cymbals go out. So that's Canyon Run, track 2 on the record. Really fun one to play live. We've had that one in the set just about every show on the last Europe tour we just finished. That was recorded. Did the demo here at home. The solo was mostly from something I improvised during the original demo sessions, and then I just kind of replayed it with a different tone. But yeah, Wes and JT were in the room together playing over my original demo. Daniel did the keyboards at his house. I did a little bit of keyboards, but it's mostly Daniel. I love that piano comping thing he did during the solo. It reminds me of like 80s Bernard Wright or something like that. But somebody asked about Jeff Beck. Yeah, Jeff Beck has been one of my biggest influences for many, many years now. I think it's pretty obvious at this point. But during a lot of the writing of this record, I was listening to, a lot of Jeff Beck, 80s stuff like Guitar Shop, but also a lot of the Tubes. I was listening to some King Crimson. It was a lot of 80s music, which is kind of maybe my favorite decade anyway of music. So I was kind of mining the depths of, I was listening to a lot of the Time, particularly that record Pandemonium. So there's kind of a lot of influences of like 80s funk, but then also kind of like 80s progressive music and progressive pop and fusion kind of, I guess you could say. I don't really consider Jeff Beck's stuff fusion, but, instrumental guitar weirdness, which is, I guess, what I do. But anyway, yeah, so that's that tune. Let's see, what else can I talk about? Oh, the tone. Yeah, so I went Kemper for this one. What else did I do? Yeah, I used the Kemper for the melody, and it's a Rockman. You guys remember the old Schultz Rockman? Well, I don't, because those were kind of around before I was born. But apparently it was this thing that a lot of players used to use. And so I used the Rockman profile that Michael Britt made. Which sounds really cool. Now, check this out. This is how it came. But then I'd put a bit crusher on it. which was on the Kemper here. Which does that kind of sputtering effect, which I thought really kind of gave a sound that canyon, dusty, desert, dry kind of sound. And then, of course, I put some delay and reverb on it from Logic, but it was kind of neat because it made me solo in a certain way that was a little different because I knew the note was going to cut out at a certain point anyway. So that's what the melodies are in the solo. The rhythm is my old 1980s, which down here, it's a Fender concert amp. I use the gain channel boosted with the DS1, which gave it that very, very specific sound, which was really cool. It took me a minute to get exactly the right EQ on that for the part to work. Sometimes it was a little too woofy, sometimes it was a little too thin, so I eventually found out exactly where it needed to be with all the knobs. I'll try to answer some of these questions. Can you elaborate how you approach writing? Do you spend time each day writing or just when the inspiration strikes? I don't write every day. I wish I did, but I kind of just go in spurts of inspiration. Most of this record happened compositionally probably at the end of last summer. I just kind of made it a point to be creative, and thankfully it worked out that way. And then some of the other tunes were kind of just ideas that had cataloged over the last couple of years, but a lot of it was written last summer. And then I recorded the basic rhythm tracks in the fall, in November, and then basically like end of November, December, January, did all the guitars, and then we started mixing in February, and then the record came out. Well, it was done by like March, but release dates and all that stuff, so we pushed it to the summer, partially because we thought Shimmy Tiger would be a cool summer track. I'm still waiting for that one to get picked up by the Olympics. Hopefully they will. I think somebody could do a gymnastics routine to it or something. So Simone, if you're watching and you still have some stuff left to do your routine to, please pick that song. That'd be great. But anyway, Wes played the bass, JT played the drums, and let's see, what else can I tell you about this song? There's the more bit crusher. I love how the note just kind of sputters out like that. Let's see. Let me get some other. Any plans on a China tour? Oh, that'd be really fun. Hopefully, I think we're coming to Japan next year, so if we can just kind of like stay on that part of the world, that would be great. And we can play in Japan and Australia and China and Korea and all the cool places. Maybe get an Andy Timmons, Andy Wood, Greg Koch contribute. Yeah, I might do that. It's the only guest guitar player I've had so far was Steve Lukather, but I could probably make 10 records with all of my favorite guitar player friends. So maybe we'll do that. Actually, Andy and I did write a tune together. I need to finish it and release it. He's probably waiting on me, so I need to get that done. But yes, I definitely would love to collaborate with those dudes. Let's see. What IRs did you use? Well, I was just saying I used the Sur reactive load. I don't actually remember which cabinets per se they were. I would just hit the dial until something sounded good. I didn't actually open up the manual. I rarely do that. But London is near Japan. Not really, but I think we're coming to London in the spring, so that would be nice. How do you make distortion sound so good? Oh, thanks. Well, I think it sounds pretty good. Not muddy, lows are super clean. Well, you just have to learn, how to EQ stuff and think about the band. Think about the mix of the other instruments, the keyboards, whatever else you got going on. And I would say, it's funny. We sit and we practice in our bedrooms all the time, and then we think we got a sound, and then we go into the studio, and it's like, wow, why is it so different? Or we go on stage, why is it so different? Well, you just do enough of that, and then you figure out what's going to sound good in what type of situation. At some point, you just sort of learn what your internal tone is going to be, and then you just dial it to kind of fit the situation. I hope that answer makes sense. Might be a little esoteric, but anyway, let's get on to the next tune. If anybody has any last things about that song that I can explain real quick, drop them in the chat before I move on. I don't see anything, so I will move on. The next song is Black Iris, which again is Jason Thomas and Wes Stevenson. They're on the rhythm section for all these songs, by the way. This one, Daniel played some keyboard, piano stuff, and the violin was handled by Zach Brock. who is just an absolute monster on the violin, and I wanted him to be a part of the record. He sat in with us at the Iridium and was amazing on that album, and I was like, man, I got to get him on a studio record and just kind of let him loose on this song. So this is probably the weirdest song on the record. I named it after the Black Iris Fiore, which is right here, which I also used to record all the guitars because I figured that would be fitting. And let's see, there's also a bass 6, Fender bass 6, which is somewhere back there, that's playing the intro riff. There is a acoustic guitar, which is a Martin M36, which is back against the wall there. But the electrics were the Black Iris Fiore. So let's check out Black Iris. It goes like this. So that's the Fender bass 6. Recorded direct, actually, just straight into the computer. And that is a Logic synthesizer plugin that I found and went like this. Very simple. That is Dan on a Keyscape piano simulator that has added hiss and static and like a muted hammer. So it's supposed to sound really messed up. And then I doubled it with a little synth. There's Zach on the pizzicato strings, which he recorded at his home studio in New Jersey. That vibrato is from, I think it's from Logic, actually. And this part is a Zach harmonized himself, and then I layered in synths underneath it. This melody is the Pure 64. Song's weird. Yeah, Snarky will be in San Francisco in October. More on that later. I ran Wes's bass through a rotary speaker simulator, which is why it sounds a little bit seasick. I played it for him, he goes, "Whoa, what did you do?" But he liked it. But even if he didn't like it, I was going to keep it. So I did the acoustics here at home with an AT4040 microphone right here on the desk. Probably late at night with the air conditioner off. Thanks, Yumiko. Yeah, that piano is it's Keyscape. It's not a real piano, but it's got a plug-in that makes it sound old and distorted. Here comes Zach. I put a little bit of chorus and some delay. I think he may have used an Eventide H90 for his basic effects, but does the Lettieri studio have a bright, dark mode? No, I like it light in here, man. I usually have all the windows open, but shining on my face kind of weird. So this is the bass 6 low. It's very low in the mix, so you just kind of feel it more than you hear it. And then here comes Zach. Freaking great solo, man. He just sent me one, too. We have played it live. Not a bunch. It's kind of a... I'm not really sure where to put it in the set, but we did play it once with Zach at the Iridium, and it's pretty awesome. All right, crunch guitars, which was the Rattler, and my Collings I-35. Yeah, it does feel like Zeppelin. The point of this one was like, what if King Crimson and Alice in Chains made a song together? Back with the melody. And then I thought it would be fun to reverse Zach's solo and dig it in beneath the melody. So if you listen carefully, it's the same solo, just backwards. Thanks, Dennis. Glad you dig the axe, man. And I just put like a bunch of delay on it. Who mixed, mastered the record? Great question. I'm going to put their names in the chat. It was mixed by Joey Lomas, who's done a whole bunch of my records. And it was mastered by Dave McNair, who's also done a bunch of my records. I love those guys. I've been working with Joey for a long time now. He's actually worked on every single one of my records. So he really knows the sound of my guitar. He knows the sound of the band. He knows what I like. He's very flexible. He also tells me when I'm going insane and need to, not overthink things or leave mistakes in or delete irrelevant parts that just get in the way of things. So much love to Joey Lomas for rocking with me for so long. Let's see. Yeah, what was I going to say about this? Oh, yeah, so we used the Rattler into the concert amp for that crunch tone at the end. The acoustics was the Martin. The electrics was the Black Iris Fiore. But yeah, the bass 6, boom, boom, bing, boom, boom. What was the Fender bass 6, which is back there? It's the tall blue thing. I don't know if you can see it, and I recorded that direct into the computer. It took me a minute to find the exact combination of pickups that I wanted for that part. And I think there might be a little bit of like slapback delay on there too. But yeah, the inspiration for that song was, I don't really know. I think I was just trying to place, I was in a mood late at night. I was playing the Black Iris Fiore and that original, oh, we'll take that off. But, that riff came out right away. And then, yeah, the song sort of has this weird quasi-Baroque classical progressive meets Alice in Chains kind of thing. I don't know. It just happened. But yeah, I'm really proud of that song. It's weird. It's not something that I would normally write, but I think I might maybe work that muscle a little bit more and see what else I can kind of come up with. Here's a good question. How does an album like this get financed? You're looking at it. Are you reliant on streams or touring to make it back? All the above. Yeah, touring, merch sales, streams, downloads, physical purchases. If you want a CD, I have CDs from the website. We're going to have a vinyl coming soon. Other gigs, saving money. I don't just play with Snarky Puppy, the Fearless Flyers, and my own thing. I do all sorts of other gigs. I do sessions. Trying to get a watch sponsorship. Actually, I really like these watches. But anyway, I do all the things that the contemporary working musician must do to make it happen. Have you ever thought about doing movie scoring? I would love to. I'm not plugged into that world. I'd like to be. I almost had an opportunity to work on some video game stuff, but it didn't quite pan out. So, would like to, but I definitely would like to get into that. Eric Gerber says fan support. That's right. I'm able to do this because of y'all, to be quite honest. So thank you for that. So if you like what you hear and you would like for me to be able to keep doing it, just keep doing what you're doing. All right. Thank you very much. All right. So let's get on with the next tune, and I will kind of answer these questions as they play. Blank World. This is maybe my favorite song on the record. One of them. This is the one I wrote for my daughter. One of two maybe, but she came up with the name, and I will give you a secret. I have to pull it off of my desktop here, but this is Blank World. All right. I don't know if you can see, but she drew this a long time ago, and it's her representation of a world existing and inhabited by the raindrop people. And so she was like, why don't you write a song about that? So I said, okay. So I wrote a song about Blank World. I think I might have a friend of mine do an AI video of it and just make it as bizarre as possible. And we'll see what comes up with. But this one actually started with a gear demo as well. I was doing a demo for, the Boss OC5, and came up with this little arpeggio. And wrote a melody over it where I used a Boss Metal Zone just for fun. But it was an Instagram demo from years ago, and thought, okay, this is cool. And then my daughter told me about Blank World, and I was like, oh wait, I already wrote about Blank World, 3 years ago. Let's continue this idea. Things are coming together in the creative universe at the Lettieri household. And so I finished out the tune. This one definitely has like an 80s Beck Satriani kind of thing, hopefully it sounds like me. It's at some point. But I get it. I have my influences. Proud of it. But anyway, the tones on this one was pretty cool. It's all Logic guitars. There was a plugin called Mid-Range Shine on the guitar plugin page, and it's like a orange amp, like a rocker verb or something. And I pulled that up, tweaked it, and just rocked it. So yeah, let's see here. I'll pull up my notes. But yeah, the leads and the melodies were this mid-range Shine Logic thing. The little octave thing I explained was the Boss OC5 recorded direct. Let's see, there's a kind of some crunch guitars in the bridge that are a Neural DSP Tone King plugin, but they're kind of mixed sort of low, so you just sort of feel them. But let's see, yeah. Oh, there's also, so there's some crunch tones in the end, which are the concert amp set clean with a J-Rocket HRM drive for that stuff that's like, that stuff. So had a lot of fun with the guitar tones. Was not expecting to use the Logic plugin, but it just worked. It's got that mid-range thing that just cuts. I think if maybe I was going to go back, I would maybe maybe change a little bit of their mid-range, but I don't know. It sounds good. It's very out front. But you know how it is when you make a record, you listen to it and you're like, oh, I could have done that. But anyway, hope you guys think it sounds good. So this is Blank World. It's in 7/8. JT and Wes totally crushed it. I think Wes played a P bass on this one. And then I did all the synthesizers here. Some of it is that plugin called the Prince, and then some of it is the Logic stuff. There was a cool, the Stabs banner is a plugin called Old VHS Tape Synth, or Old VHS Synth. I don't even know what that means, but I thought it sounded cool, so I kept it. This is Blank World. I hope it takes you to the land of the raindrop people. There they are. Those are the raindrop people dancing. Drink my coffee. Do you have that old airline on the mannequin? Yeah, it's in a case somewhere. So this is the Prince synth on one side and the octave on the other side. That clean guitar was the Collings I-35. Wes on the P bass. Those are DI guitars. Actually, I think it's a Logic plug-in of a Fender Bassman. There we go. Sounds like a saxophone or something. I love the snare tone. And there's a drum loop going behind us too. You can just barely hear it. Oh yeah, we've been to the UK a bunch with my band, and we're coming back. Yeah, the drum tone on this record is awesome. JT and Joey really killed it. So this little bit of my King Crimson influence here, I think. It's the VHS thing. Where is it? There it is. Yes, I definitely was listening to a little bit of Guitar Shop. It's a great record. I love the P-bass tone too. Yeah, it's an orange amp called Mid-Range Shine on Logic. If you want to pull it up, you can get the same tone. I'll put it in the chat. Counter melodies, right? Oh no, he's tapping. Watch out, kids. Drum solo, kind of. Rush. What are the chords? Those. I'll show you later. Could also be a Sonic the Hedgehog song, maybe. Anybody know any anime people? Put it in a cartoon. There are some Steve Vai influences, yep. Might have listened to Flexible too while I was checking this one out. It's a good lick. right, so that's Blank World. I really like that song. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I think it's a really cool track. I think I love that song. So thanks to the kid for giving me some inspiration there. Sounds like if Jeff Beck and Steve Vai wrote the Pokemon theme. Oh man, yeah, I guess. I don't know. I think I was a little old for Pokemon, but I'll take that as a compliment. How do you get the tempo perfect? Well, the tempo is set, and then I hire great rhythm section players who don't rush or drag. But live we push and pull a little bit just because it's fun. But let's see. People asking about chords and all that sort of stuff. I will have the tablature done soon, so you'll know all about that. But let's see. Was one thing I found a great tone in GarageBand that's close, but it's more of a fuzz. Oh yeah, man, there's cool stuff in GarageBand and Logic. I mean, I use it all the time. That's what I do all the guitars in. The drums and bass were all recorded in Pro Tools, and then basically Joey, my mix engineer, just like bounced the waves over to me. Once it's a wave, it's a wave. And then I did more of the production here on Logic and then sent it back to him to mix. What was the hardest song to write on the album? Probably Shimmy Tiger. I went through, after it was finished, I actually went through a couple different iterations where I was like chopping parts out of it because I thought it was too long. And I was like, I got this great hook. It just needs to be the hook. I had my like ADD pop helmet on, and I was like, it should be the hook. It should be 3 minutes, and I was chopping out all these parts. And anytime I would play it to someone, they were like, yeah, that's cool, but like I missed that other part, because I heard it with the other part, and now that's gone, I miss it. So I left it all in. So yeah, it's 6.5 minutes, but hopefully it takes you on a journey and, satisfies your earlobes the whole way, your eardrums, but also maybe your earlobes. I don't know if you liked wearing earrings. All right, let's see. And do you have a hard time remembering how to play these songs? Sometimes. I shed on my own quite a bit before we go out on tour, and then we usually do like maybe 1 or 2 rehearsals with the band before we get it together. And then, stuff changes on the road. Because obviously I just play with a quartet. I don't have a rhythm guitar player or a second keyboard player, and we don't use backing tracks at all. So some of the parts morph a little bit. Maybe I'll resort to playing a different guitar part that maybe isn't as prominent on the record, just in this one part because it helps the groove. But we don't really change the forms of the songs at all. My opinion on taking songs from albums and playing them live is that I feel like if the groove is strong and the melody is strong, you can play a tune with, the least amount of instruments possible. Everyone loves a great bass line. Everyone loves a great riff. Everyone loves a great melody. So if that stuff's there, maybe you don't need all the bells and whistles that you did in the studio. I like the studio compositions to exist as their own arrangement with overdubs and tones and effects and all these kinds of things. And then I like the live versions of the songs to exist in their own element as well. I want them to be different. I don't want you to come and see the Mark Lettieri group and it sounds just like the album, because we could do that, I guess, if we had tracks or more people on stage or something. But I like the difference, and that's just kind of always how I've been, and a lot of the records that I like are like that. But let's see, I'm trying to get through these questions. Sorry, y'all, I'm yapping. Do you program the drums before I send them to JT? Yeah, I do. I program essentially what I envision the drums doing, but I'm not going to tell a world-class drummer, exactly what to do. I'm going to give them a template, and then they can dissect it and turn it inside out, and you get what you have here, which is great. So let's see. And I do that with the bass and some of the keyboard parts too. And there are certain things where it's like, yeah, you got to play this exactly right, the way I wrote it. Otherwise it's not the part. And then there's other things where it's like, yeah, it's this, but do you with that? and that's kind of how I like to produce. Could you please release a new album every month? Sure. If you click this little button that says show your support for Mark Lettieri that has the $sign on it, I could probably do an album every month. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, maybe I would like to be a little bit more prolific, but I feel like this is healthy. I mean, this is like technically my 9th album since 2011, which is I'm on pace for about a record every 2 years, which I think is pretty good. I have friends that are way more prolific, and then I have friends that aren't. So, I'm just kind of in the middle, and this is what works for me. And some of my friends have 2 albums, and they're brilliant. And some of my friends have 30, and they're brilliant. So, I try to pace myself in the way that works best for me. But yeah, maybe I could stand to do a couple more. I have a couple other bonus tracks from this record that I might be dropping out that I haven't heard yet. So there's stuff. Let's see. There you go. I like Live at the Iridium because it feels different, but it's all the songs I know of. Thank you. There you go. Cool. Well, I appreciate the support and the compliments very much. Thank you. Here we go. I can't get past the tempo thing on Blank World. If it were slower or faster, it might not work. I see what you're saying. Yeah, possibly. Yeah, because certain melodies, if they're too slow, they don't have the right impact. If they're too fast, then they don't have the right impact. So tempo is important. And I guess probably what we could have done is gone into, and this is what I've done before, is gone into the studio and tracked this stuff live and tried it at different tempos and see what felt best. But with this album, I just kind of had to commit in the demo stage because I knew once I sent the guys into the studio to play over the demos, it was set, it was locked. And so, but then again, if something all of a sudden feels too fast, then we play it slower live. I remember actually a good example of that is the song Voyager 1 off of Deep the Baritone Sessions Volume 2. The studio version's pretty moving, and the live version is not. If you go listen to the live version from the Iridium, it's slow. Not in a bad way, just slow. And that's just kind of how we've been doing it. So again, that's why I like having stuff be different. Sorry for the mic pop there. Let's see. Any chance you record this live with the WDR Big Band? Well, I have a whole other record with the WDR Big Band that's coming out later. I don't know when, but it's pretty much mixed. It's very different. It's different than what you've heard. It sounds really cool, and it's got a big band feel to it, but it's different than maybe the typical Mark Lettieri group sound. But I think you're really going to dig it. It's special stuff. I'm very excited about it. The album art. Great question. Her name is Anna Lang, and she is living in Sardinia. She is unbelievably talented. I don't know her. I think her Instagram is actually like this. Check that out, or just go to my page. I tagged her in the last thing. She's brilliant. She does. It's very much like fantastic sort of Disney style artwork for children's books and things like that, and just really creative. I'm looking forward to doing many more characters, I think, with her. It'd be really cool. She turned me into a tiger. Come on, gotta love that. So yeah, brilliant stuff from her. All right, so let's see. Let's do the last tune. It's one you know. Unless anybody has any more questions about Blank World. We've been going about an hour. I don't want to keep you any longer than that. So I think I explained all the guitars on Blank World. Look at my notes. Yeah. That might be one where I'll do like a full session breakdown and we'll look at every individual part and I'll bore you to tears with all the minutia about the session itself. But maybe people like that. I don't know. Let's see. Do you know or care about music theory? Yes and yes. I know plenty. Not as much as some people, but I know a lot. And I do care about it. It's a great way to learn stuff and compose things and communicate with other musicians. So I would say if you have the opportunity to learn music theory, go ahead. You don't need it, but it helps. Let's see. Did your daughter like the song? Yeah, she did. There's actually a video on Instagram of her dancing while I'm recording the rhythm tracks. So that's usually an indicator. If your kids, those of you who have children, if they're into what you're doing, good. If the kids dig it, you're great. Nothing like putting a smile on a little kid's face if you're rocking out. You got to inspire the youth. You know what I'm saying? When's the SE Fiore coming? I don't know, man. Hopefully, maybe we'll do that. Is it true that the song title for Deep 3 will be underground rock formations? Possibly, if I can find enough of them that don't sound ridiculous or too hard to spell. But I did put out an album with words like Gigantactus on it, so I could probably put it together. Let's see. Yeah, okay, answered that one. I'm so glad you love modern funk styles and for also a band like Toto or I'll maybe play different styles of guitar tones. Yeah, I love Toto. They're great. No secret there. Love those guys. But yeah, my influences are all over the place, but I love funk. I love 80s music. I love 70s music. I love 60s music. I love a lot of 90s music. I love some music from today too, but I love funk. I love rock. I love metal. I love R&B. I like it all. I try to bring it all into my world, into my sound, and make my records. All right. Let's see. Here is the last track off. Well, not the last track. It's the last track we're going to do today, and then I'll come back tomorrow. This is Time After Time by Cyndi Lauper. I've always wanted to cover this song. I did a cover of that Tears for Fears song, Everybody Wants to Rule the World, years ago. Thought, hey, why don't we do another 80s track? And this was the one. And, there's some kind of personal circumstances brought this song back into my life and sort of told me that it was time to do a cover of it. And so that's this. And what I wanted to do was, kind of like recreate it close to the original, but, take some artistic liberties in terms of form. Obviously, the outro is way different. The reintros are different on the guitars. There's hardly any keyboard. It's all guitars. There's a little bit of a pad that I played in the background. But, the original has very synth heavy and mine is not. So I thought it would be a little different. The bass part I recorded on my Hybrid Guitars Big 6, which is like a bass 6 guitar. So it's a 6-string guitar tuned in bass octave. So you play it just like a guitar. I got a thumbs up. I don't know how that happened. But what am I saying? So you play it just like a guitar, but it's in the register of a bass. The acoustics were the M36. All of the electrics were, I think it was the Black Iris Fiore into the Pure 64, with a little bit of the J-Rocket Archer, which is a clon. And I never use clones, but for whatever reason, it just worked. It gave the tone. And this is one of my favorite clean melody tones I think I've ever gotten. For those of you who, were worried that the Fiore wasn't nuanced enough or didn't have a beautiful, clean sound, I beg to differ. So that's what I did on that track. And let's see. Let's do Time After Time. And this is JT on the drums, by the way. And it goes like this. Jim Dunlop picks, 1mm. A little bit of tremolo from Logic. Neck pickup, tone rolled back to maybe half. Pure 64, which is one of the best clean sounding amps. What else can I tell you? Here comes the acoustic that I did here at the house. I guess you can watch the video for this if you had any questions about which guitars, but I don't know if that was accurate. Oh, the little stereo echoes. This pedal, harmonizer, brainwaves. Songwriting in the 80s was incredible, wasn't it? They were just nailing so many hits. Yes, I'll explain the video in a second. So this was kind of a little gospel kind of thing I enjoyed putting in. Very round lead tone. Feels like a big oval in my head. So there's a little synth pad underneath. Baritone. Country. It's the PRS SE 277. They put this on a smooth jazz playlist. I thought that was pretty cool. I'll take it. Yes, I did play the bass. Bass 6. Where's Captain Lou Albano? Wrong song. This part, I was doing the demo and I didn't want the melody to end. So I reharmonized it a little bit. That's the Bassman with the J-Rocket HRM on the lead there. And then when it gets gainy, I boost it with the DOD. This one goes hard live. And use this guitar for the leads. Oh yeah, Tristan, yes, gotcha. Shred. All right, that was Time After Time by Cyndi Lauper, rearranged and recorded by me with JT on the drums. Yeah, I you know, just had to do that tune. Yeah, I was reminded of it during a friend's funeral. Actually, they played a version of it recorded by Myron Butler and Levi, my good friend Daniel Jones' service. And so I was kind of sitting there going like, okay, you know, maybe it's time we do this. So anyway, a bit of a personal thing there, but anyhow, that's Time After Time by Cyndi Lauper. And yeah, let's see, the baritone was the 277 into the Bassman here, 62 Bassman. What else did I do on that song? Well, yeah, so the acoustics were the M36 recorded here at the house. And what inspired you to do the 5/4 bar? I think that was just like a haphazard thing. Like I was playing the melody, and you know, I ended up with that. I think it just made sense rhythmically as I was kind of composing that bit. I like changes where it goes from like two minors that are minor third apart. I think that's kind of a cool. I could have voiced it like that, you know, with the flat fifth in there, but it's really just like a minor, like an F sharp minor 11 chord. I notice I move minor chords in minor thirds a lot in my music, so maybe it was just impulse at that point. And then the melody just kind of took over. I probably tried that shreddy bit a 1,000 times before I settled on one that I liked, and it's still not perfect, but that's me. So it is what it is. Did you vary the EQ on the amp drastically from Barry to 6-string? Possibly. Yeah, I definitely rolled. Let's see. I didn't actually notate the settings for the baritone on this song. I just said bassman. But I probably turned the bass down a little bit. Yeah, and that 277 is a pretty cool guitar. I changed the pickups out there. One's a P90 and one's a gold foil. So it's got kind of a cool fat country sound. I'm working on maybe making it a little brighter because it's a mahogany body set neck guitar. So, hey, turns out wood makes a difference. But that's another conversation. But it plays real great. I tried like a couple baritones for that solo, but that was the one that worked the best. Can we buy you a beer in Napa next month? Sure. Beer is good. Let's see. But anything else here? Have you heard Cindy's thoughts on this cover? I have not heard from Cyndi Lauper. I don't expect to. She's probably got other things going on in her life than listening to obscure instrumental guitarists. But hey, if she digs it, that would be amazing. But I think it's a great song. She wrote it with Rob Hyman, who I'm not super familiar with, but I need to check out some more. And yeah, it's just a beautiful song. I mean, it's simple. It's the chords are great. It just works. So hopefully I did it some justice. But I have about 15 PRSs, but yours is one of my favorite. Thank you, Alex. That's a lot of PRS guitars, man. I don't know if I have 15 of them. But let's see. Anything else I can tell y'all about this record? This was part 1. We'll be back for part 2 tomorrow. We'll do kind of like the funk half of the record. The first half of the record is kind of more the rock, pop, progressive kind of thing. The second half is more the groove-oriented stuff. We've got the baritone songs and all that kind of goofy madness on it. But let's see. Yeah, I think that might be it for today. If anybody has any final thoughts, final questions about what we listened to today, I'll be happy to answer them. I think there's probably a little bit of a lag between when I'm talking and when you guys are seeing this. But yeah. Rob Hyman was in the Hooters with Eric Bazillion. Okay, I'm learning things. Good. Have you heard Miles Davis' version? I listened to part of it after I did mine. This was kind of one of those songs where like I didn't want to hear other people's versions of it. I just wanted to focus on Cindy's and then what I was going to do with it. Because I think if I had heard too many other covers of it, I would have started second guessing my own choices. And so I figured it was probably better to just go with what I felt worked for me at that moment and then maybe check out other people's versions of it. I mean, this song's been covered 10,000 times, so I don't think I don't know if I did anything new, but I did it because I wanted to, and, I was sort of inspired by some life events that, kind of pushed me to do it. So anyway, let's see. Can't wait for the funk part. Yeah, me too. It'll be fun. We'll get some baritone funk going on. But anyway, I will see y'all tomorrow. I will end this stream and hopefully not screw it up and post it or accidentally delete it, so it will get posted. You can watch it again. And then probably later on I'll pick maybe 2 or 3 songs to do like in-depth stems, and I'll figure out how to put the logic on the screen and do all that stuff. If you want to do that, maybe we don't need to do that. But either way, thanks for watching. I appreciate the support. Thank you, Greg, for helping us out today at American Musical Supply if you need to get cool stuff for your gear. Anyway, love y'all. See you tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel, which is my YouTube channel, and I am not a bat.